Hey people, welcome to my channel. And yes, this one's a sitting down video because we've got a lot to cover. So if you haven't watched my first video on selling up in the UK and where I've travelled, I would recommend that one first. That covers the 3 months of where I've been. And this video is the next 3 months of where I've been. So before we get started, if you could do me the favour of subscribing to this channel, dropping a like on this video if it's useful for you or if you just enjoy being here, and obviously a comment if you've got any questions or if there's anything that I've said that you can relate to, let's have a chat. So we ended in Chiang Mai on the last video, and then from Chiang Mai was the flight to Sri Lanka. So my trip in Thailand was done. It was a wonderful month, maybe 6 weeks, can't really remember. But anyway, that realm was just, yeah, lovely. So then we set off to Sri Lanka. This was still solo, by the way, so I was on my own for this. But the nicest thing about this trip was my personal trainer at the time, who I'd had for maybe 2 or 3 years, he came out to visit. So he arrived on day 3 of Sri Lanka. This was my favourite place that I was booking to come to. I was so excited to go to Sri Lanka out of all the places that I've been to. And I was so disappointed with it. For me, I would not go to Sri Lanka again as a female solo. So yeah, when I first arrived, I ended up getting scammed by a tuk-tuk. And again, I'd only just got there. I literally just left my stuff at the hotel and went out for a walk, and this guy joined me on my walk, claiming that he'd just finished his shift at my hotel. Now, I was quite savvy, but not savvy enough, because he said he'd finished his shift at the hotel, and I said, oh, what do you do there? And he said, I work in the kitchen. And I said, why are you finishing your shift now? It's only 10:30. And I can't remember what his answer was, but obviously he wasn't expecting me to start challenging his job title and what time he finishes, because who finishes a kitchen shift at 10:30 in the morning? Especially when you work at a hotel, like, it just didn't make sense. You know, he doesn't seem sketchy, he just seems like a guy that's having a chat. And because I'd walked a little bit from the hotel, he was obviously stood outside my hotel waiting for solo scammers to attack. So yeah, I got caught with that one because he was telling me that a festival was on that day and that it only comes round once a year, so I need to go to it. And he flagged down a tuk-tuk for me, and they acted like strangers, and I got in this tuk-tuk, but I was reluctant because I said, no, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not my plan for today. I just want to walk and see things. And he was very adamant that, you know, it's the last day of the festival today, you need to go, you need to see it. It's an amazing trip, and, you know, you can thank me when you get back, blah, blah, blah. So annoyingly, I just went with it and got in the tuk-tuk. Obviously, in hindsight, I shouldn't have. I didn't feel in danger. I just didn't like the approach. And the guy in the tuk-tuk seemed okay. But then when I'd realised the money that he was asking for the tuk-tuk journey, I was only in the tuk-tuk for maybe 10 minutes. And we had to drive around for a few ATMs. And the money that he was asking, when I was converting it on my calendar, I was like, this seems like a crazy amount for where we've been. Just didn't seem, it was like £50. And I was like, that's a lot. And obviously I'd only just got there. I'd not figured out the conversion. I'd not realised how cheap or expensive the place was. It was really just new. I'd just arrived. And anyway, he dropped me off at this, there was like a no traffic allowed kind of through way sort of thing. So he dropped me there and said, if you walk up to the end and turn left, you'll see the festival. So I was like, right, okay, didn't think anything of it. He couldn't get through with the traffic sign that was there. Clearly he knew that, but I didn't. So I walked up this road and there was no festival. I was looking around, I was asking people, like, where's this festival? They were all looking at me like, there isn't a festival, I don't know what you're talking about. And then obviously I realised, wow, that was a tuk-tuk scam. So that just dampened my experience. And then when I was walking back to my hotel, because I didn't want to get in another tuk-tuk, because there's quite a few different colour tuk-tuks, and there's conflicting opinions on which ones to use and which ones not to use. And because this one I'd got in was a red tuk-tuk, I think, I then was like, I don't even know what colour to trust. I don't understand how it works. So I was like, I'm walking back. And obviously it was 30-degree heat. I was so annoyed at myself anyway. I just got took miles away from where I was staying and I had to find my way back. Stopped off at a couple of places for a quick drink refresh of a fresh watermelon juice or a fresh orange juice. And then, yeah, made it back to the hotel. There were some sketchy areas that I walked through which I didn't feel safe walking through. So at those times I put my phone away and memorised the map so it looked like I knew where I was going. That's quite a useful tip if you're feeling unsafe. Memorise the next 100 yards if you can on the map and put your phone away, just so you look confident in where you are. So yeah, I got back to familiar grounds, and along the way there was just a lot of pervy-eyed men looking at me. I wasn't in anything, like I was quite covered up, and normally when I go on my own somewhere and I don't really know the culture, I will always cover up anyway because I have tattoos. So I'm very conscious of how I carry myself out and about to ensure that I'm not attracting the wrong attention. But yeah, this was just uncomfortable. The looks and the whistles and the slow down stares as you're walking past them, and it was just uncomfortable, and I couldn't wait to get back to the hotel. The only way I can describe it is they are literally undressing you with their eyes with no filter. You know, they're not hiding it. They're not trying to reserve that they're doing that. They're very blatant with it. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. So I didn't leave my hotel after that point until my PT turned up to go out and venture with, because I just didn't feel comfortable being out on my own. So then when my PT arrived, we went out and did some train rides to other parts of Sri Lanka, which were nice, but a lot longer on the trains than they tell you they are, which was frustrating because one train took us 2 hours and it only said it was going to be an hour and 10. One train broke down and we had to get off and walk, but luckily we met a really nice Sri Lankan man that helped us, which I'll just come back to that in a second. So when my PT arrived, we went out on the first day that he got there and off we went. I call him my PT, his name's Luke. So when Luke arrived, we went out, and I think that was the first day we were going to go to the train station and nip to another area. And we'd only got 100 yards up the road, and he even said, Rach, like me being here, I thought it would help things with like these pervy men that you've been saying you're seeing. And he said, honestly, I can see it and I'm with you, and they're still doing it. Yeah, the fact that he could see what was going on, imagine how it was with me on my own. It was just, yeah, it wasn't nice. So we get on the train, well, we got to the train station, and by this point my walls are up. I don't trust anyone. I'm not talking to anyone. I am doing my travels. I've completely lost trust in everybody. And that's a big thing when you go traveling solo. You have to trust strangers. So it's really difficult when one of them annoyingly breaks your trust. You then don't trust anybody. So we get to the train station, and again, they're quite sketchy. Not very clean, quite a lot of homeless and injured people. It's really sad. So yeah, this guy came over to me and Luke, and I was completely like, I'm not engaging. You can deal with him, I'm not doing it. So yeah, he's talking to this guy, and he seemed well presented. He'd got like a shirt and trousers on, looked like he was a businessman. Anyway, we was talking for quite a bit, and he sensed that I was very much, don't talk to me. And then he explained a bit about himself and just said, I'm going to this destination. It's this train you need to get on. I've finished work now, so I'm going home to my wife and kids. And again, I'm still like, you could be making this up. This could just be a lovely story that you're saying, and then there's going to be something that you want from us at the end of it. So I was still very reserved, but he did notice. He said, yeah, I can see that you've lost trust. And he just said, we're not all like that, which of course they're not. But all you've got to go off is the one experience that was, so it's tricky. This was the train that broke down. Thankfully, he was on this train with us. This man was actually so lovely. And had he have not been on that same train as us, we wouldn't have known what to do, because the train broke down on the middle of the track. We had to get off and walk to the nearest bus stop. We didn't know where that was. Walking through a village, we don't even know where we are. This man helped us. He said, come on, we're going, we're getting off, we need to get on the bus into the centre, which luckily wasn't too far away. But it was a nice experience to be with a local that was taking us to a bus stop, got us on the bus, and we're full of everybody going to work, and all the locals are on this bus. It was honestly like a minivan. It was so small, and there was at least 80 people on this bus. It was packed. Anyway, the bus got us to where we needed to be, and then he spoke to a tuk-tuk guy, checked him out, made sure he was licensed and, you know, a legitimate business, not a scam. So he put us with him, and he said, this is the map kind of thing, these are the prices, like, these are the kind of tuk-tuks you need to be getting in, where they have the prices to show. He's got the meter running, blah, blah, blah. So he did all the rundown for us and sort of built my trust back up again. And he was so lovely. I felt really bad for being standoffish at the beginning. But he understood why. And it's difficult when you're a solo traveller to shake that off and all of a sudden be back, you know, trusting everybody. It's not that easy. Yeah, it was a good day. So from there we went on a natural plant farm, I think it was, where they had fruits and plants and herbs growing, and they made sandalwood oil. There was some nice oils anyway, and obviously I bought some stuff because I'm a sucker for things like that. And they explained to you why it's sacred, what this does, all the properties, and I love that kind of stuff. So I was in my element buying the vanilla bean pods. Oh, there was a vanilla bean body butter, I think, handmade from this local business. Oh, it was so good. So we went there, we went to some temples, statues. We went to see some landmarks anyway. So we was in Sri Lanka for a total of 3 days with Luke. So we didn't have much to do, and the next stop from there was Maldives. So I was ready. We stayed on a faraway little island that was a natural island, because some of the islands in Maldives are man-made, and I don't like going to the man-made ones, so I picked specifically a natural island. I can't think for the life of me what it's called. It was a long word. Anyway, gets to this island and it's quite secluded. There's nothing really on the island. We stayed at a resort called the Barefoot Eco Hotel, which is as it sounds. It was really nice, right on the beach. You just got tree lines of like coconut trees, and then the beach was just through it. So you walk down your stairs and literally 10 yards you're on the beach. And honestly, when I say that Maldives is exactly as it lives up to, like what you see online on Maldives, it is that. Like, it is not edited. It is not rare to see that. The white sand is so bright, you need sunglasses on just to be on the sand. Even if you're not looking up, you look down, it's just as bright as up. So that was interesting. I've never experienced sand so bright. It was unbelievable. And, you know, Luke's never been to anywhere like that as well, so I was really pleased to have him on this journey with me. So we did a few trips. I think we did a week in Maldives, 3 nights in Sri Lanka, and he did 3 nights in Kuala Lumpur with me, and then he went home. So yeah, the Maldives trip was just pure zen. We did a couple boat trips, went to see the dolphins in the sea, which was unbelievable. I got so many good videos. When we went to see the dolphins, we went down on a boat and we were just out in the middle of the ocean. They do it where you just turn up, and if they come, they come, if they don't, they don't. So yeah, we went out on this boat, and they started coming in the distance, and for some reason I had an instinct to whistle like you would at a cat or a dog. So I was doing that, but obviously as loud as I could do, and I'm quite good at whistling. And they were coming closer to the boat, and then when I whistled while they were near, they were jumping up, and it was getting really good results of the communication between me and the dolphins. And there was a guy on the top deck, and he popped his head down and was like, "Why are you whistling?" And I thought, are you not seeing these dolphins responding to my whistles? Like, this is crazy. They are acknowledging the whistle. And I said, well, it's working, isn't it? And he said, do you really think dolphins can hear the whistle? And I was like, I'm not going to say anything else, but I'm pretty sure dolphins have got like an insane hearing. They hear sound waves from miles, I'm sure they do. But he just annoyed me because I thought, Why are you bothered? He's filming the dolphins doing what they're doing, but that's because I'm whistling. And I'm like, would you be getting that content if I wasn't whistling? So he was a bit of a dick. Some of the people started whistling because it was bringing them in. Yeah, he was just one of them. I just said, thank you, as if to say, shut the fuck up. But yeah, that was a very memorable day. They were so cute. They were so lovely, like jumping in threes and doing their noises. Some were flipping. Oh yeah, it was brilliant. They were clearly happy to see us or felt good energy from us, because obviously they are really friendly with humans. And then on the way back, it was the most incredible sunset I've ever laid eyes on. And because we were in the middle of the sea, there was nothing obstructing this sunset. So yeah, Maldives, absolute tick. So from the Maldives, after a nice chilled week, oh, another thing that happened in the Maldives, when I booked this hotel, I booked him and me, but because there was 2 separate rooms, it went down as 2 separate bookings, but both under my name. So when we got to check-in, I said to the woman, can you change the card for one of the reservations so that it bills him, not me? So she said, yeah, but I'll have to refund something or other for this to work. So I said, yeah, okay. So I did everything she asked me to do. A week goes by and I said to Luke, I've not been charged for my hotel. I've only been refunded. So she hasn't charged me again for just me. So I paid, she refunded me, then supposedly charged me for just me, and then Luke separate. But she never charged me. So I technically got a free holiday in the Maldives. Oops. Wasn't my fault. I did everything she told me to do. And I kept the receipt for so long to confirm that I'd paid, because she gave me the receipt that I'd paid. But that payment never came out my bank. Still to this day, it never left my bank. So I think that was £1,300 that I didn't spend. The little wins. So from the Maldives holiday, we flew to Kuala Lumpur, which again was around 4 hours, I think. It's not very far. I really liked Kuala Lumpur. It's a very livable city. You can just fall straight in. It's a bit like Thailand, but more infrastructure. More business driven. Yeah, I loved it there. Although I nearly bought a Chanel bag in Kuala Lumpur. I was so close to paying £10,000 for a Chanel bag. And the reason I've mentioned that is because I had the money in my bank and I've always wanted a Chanel bag. And that's the one thing designer-wise that I'm really like, I will get one, but only when I know I can afford to get one. I'm not going to break the bank to do it, but I will get one. When I make it, yeah, she's buying a Chanel. So I nearly bought it in Kuala Lumpur, and then I thought to myself, right, let's visualise this 10k less in my bank and this bag on my arm. Will I feel fulfilled being 10k lighter, knowing it's just this bag that sent that 10k away? Like, having to really dissect the perspective on it talked me out of doing it, because as much as I really wanted it, and I was honestly so close, I messaged my mum saying, should I get her? She's beautiful. And she said, you could, love, but I don't think you should. So with that, I was like, right, okay, I know she's right, but I've got the money, so why am I not doing it? And something was just telling me, be sensible, just be sensible with this. And Chanel's will always be there, and I know they go up in value, but I'm hoping it's not too long until I can afford one without worrying about the bank balance. So I didn't get it, and I know the team in the shop would have been so annoyed, thinking she's never going to buy it, because I didn't look like I had the money to buy it, because I don't dress designer, I don't show off money that I have. And I just thought, I don't even care what you guys think, I'm not buying it. So I left the shop, and then I thought, I'm going to go and get the Louis V Never Full, because that's another bag that I've always liked. And I thought that would be a perfect travel bag. Plus you get the purse, and I knew I would use the purse because I had a fake Louis V purse for ages, and I loved how it just went with everything. So I knew that this was going to be a better purchase, and it was only 1,500. So I've gone from a 10k purchase to a 1.5k purchase for a bag, but this one has 2 bags. See the logic here? So yeah, that was my purchase that I decided on in the end, and a Van Cleef bracelet. And I thought, that's it, I've had my little treats, that'll do. So they were my purchases in Kuala Lumpur, which I felt a lot more comfortable paying for those, knowing it was not making a dent in my bank balance like the Chanel bag would. So Kuala Lumpur was a bit of a shopping kind of visit. It was nice. We went to a botanical garden. We went to, I can't remember what it's called. Is it the Bat Caves? The Bat Caves, possibly. Up the multicoloured steps, which was really nice. Got very close to some monkeys. They were absolute characters. And yeah, that was cool. Was it the monkey caves then, or the Bat Caves? Not sure. But you'll know when you search for Kuala Lumpur, the multicoloured steps up to the tower into caves, you'll see it. I'm just rubbish with names. So that was a really good tourist attraction. It was really cheap in Kuala Lumpur. Very good fresh fruits. The hotel I stayed in is the best hotel I've ever stayed in, ever. And I always thought it would be the San Pacific. Oh my gosh, what's it called in London? San Pacific? I think it's San Pacific. The hotel in London, it's in Shoreditch, I think. That was always my favourite hotel ever to stay in. And then I went to the Ruma Hotel in Kuala Lumpur. You need to stay at that hotel. It's so good. I can't even put it into words. Not only is the building and the rooms and everything, the decor so pristine, the staff are amazing. They were very accommodating to my dietary requirements, which are crazy strict. No dairy, no meat, no fish, no gluten. And this is all by choice. I don't have any intolerances. I just do not like eating those things. No refined sugar and no rice. So people think, what do you eat? Plenty. I eat plenty. There's a whole market out there of real foods that are just not getting used and cherished. The rooms, oh my gosh, I've never slept so good in my life. The beds were like clouds. And obviously I've never been on a cloud, but I can't explain to you how comfy the damn bed was. If you go to Kuala Lumpur, you must stay in that hotel. I'm so glad I stayed there and spent my trip there. It was stunning. So it's called the Ruma Hotel, R-U-M-A. Thank me later, guys. If you've stayed there already, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, because I'd find it hard to believe if it's not won an award. So then from Kuala Lumpur, Luke left me halfway through that trip and went home. Bless him. Yeah, he was very grateful for that trip. Loved how travelling opens your mind, I suppose. It was lovely having him, just having some fun company, familiar face. Like, we spent hours on end every day, PT sessions for 3 years. So yeah, it was lovely that he wanted to come out and we just did some travelling together. It was really fun. And then I was back to solo, over to Mauritius, which was a 7-hour fly, I think, from Kuala Lumpur. I don't think there was flights from Maldives to Mauritius, unless there were more money. So yeah, over to Mauritius. What a stunning island, by the way. I regret staying where I stayed because I just didn't know the island. I didn't know anything about Mauritius at all. And you can do your research, but you just need to know for yourself when you go. I find it's really hard to research a place before you go because the internet will tell you generic information and other people will tell you their opinions and their intakes of it, but that still will be different to what you experience. So I think personal opinions are always the strongest and you do just have to find out for yourself. So also that keeps things open-minded for you, where you're not preempting something because somebody's told you something, because you might not necessarily see that or experience that. So you're going in with a judgment that's somebody else's judgment. You're never going to mirror that experience. So I do recommend not asking what people think of places, unless they're a well-travelled person that you know are quite like-minded with you, or that know you very well to know what you will like and won't like. Yeah, I do think trusted sources are the best when you're doing recommendations for places. I was down in I keep wanting to say La Mer, but I don't think it's La Mer. I think I've heard that somewhere else. But there's an area up on the west coast, a town, I feel like it begins with T. that area is where I wish I'd stayed, because when I drove through it, it was very fruit markets, local culture, people just going about their business, living. It looked really nice. It was a nice looking area, and I thought, oh, this would be somewhere I'd like to explore. But yeah, Mauritius, I really liked it, and I will go back to Mauritius and do it better. I feel like I didn't go out enough and explore, and it was probably because the taxis were quite expensive. So if I was to do it again, I would stay in an area that's closer to more things, and maybe look at public transport or hiring a car if that was a thing. Not sure. But yeah, I really liked Mauritius. The people are so friendly. The sea is beautiful. The food is really good. Yeah, it's very cultural. I like it. It was a good vibe. So Mauritius, definitely a recommendation. And Kuala Lumpur and Maldives. The only place I wouldn't is Sri Lanka. When I was leaving Mauritius, going to the airport, so the taxi picked me up at the hotel. I rang it from the hotel, so I knew it was a legitimate taxi guy. He took me to the airport, but we needed to stop at an ATM because I didn't have enough to pay for the full trip. I only had enough for like a half or a third. So we stopped off at this ATM, and I left everything in the car and just took my purse out, which had my bank card in. And as I shut the door to go to this cash point, he drove off quite fast. And then I was just in a sudden panic because I thought the car had gone. And I was just stood there on the street like, oh, please don't tell me he's just drove off. That's got my passport in. Like, I was in serious panic mode. And I was on a street, I didn't even know where we were. And for some reason, my phone wasn't working in Mauritius. So I had to be on Wi-Fi. So I had no signal on my phone. All I'd got was my phone and my bank card, but he had my passport in my bag with all my luggage. My passport was in the car. So I was in severe panic mode by this point, and I saw this woman and I ran up to her like, can I please use your phone? I need to ring the hotel. And I couldn't even think of the hotel's name that I was staying at because I was in such a panic. I didn't know what to do. A couple of minutes later, his car just turned up and he just pulled up at the side of me. I'm not joking, he was gone for, I'm gonna say safely 4 minutes. Now 4 minutes is a long time to turn your car around. I mean, the fact that he went off and there was silence, that's how far he drove away to turn the car around. So I'm weighing it all up like, he's gone. I cannot hear that car, he's gone. And then all of a sudden he's back 4 minutes later, like nothing happened. And obviously I'm there absolutely panicking with this woman. I was like, oh my gosh, he's here. I'm so sorry for being like so panicky and dramatic. It wasn't dramatic, my passport had left my possession. So anyway, I got back in the car and I was like, why did you do that? And he was like, I told you I was going to turn around. He didn't. He said he told me he was turning around, but I'm pretty sure I didn't hear him say anything when I got out of the car. I was so frustrated as well because my body, with that reaction and that much fear that flooded me, I would have absolutely destroyed my nervous system in that moment. My body just didn't need that before I was getting on a flight. So after Mauritius, I had to fly back to Kuala Lumpur because there's no flights to my next destination from Mauritius direct, which is Bali. Bali! Bali is my favourite place on earth. Yes, it is. If you haven't been to Bali, you need to go. And I was never really bothered about Bali. I was more, oh, Thailand. Thailand will be the place I settle. I know it will be. Nope, Bali. The people, Balinese people, please believe me when I say they are the kindest people to ever walk this earth. There are no kinder people than the Balinese people. I just can't, because they have the purest hearts and they don't ever do anything that they want anything in return. They know you have more money than them, but they don't see you like that. Like, oh, they're just so pure, so pure. You need to go to Bali. It is life-changing. Yeah, Bali needs its whole new video because I have got so much to say on Bali. I've spent probably in total 6 months of this year there, in between to-ing and fro-ing. Bali was my new home. Obviously it's very affordable, as everybody knows, but it's just, oh, it's the most wonderful place, honestly. I just love it. I love it. I love the person that I am when I'm in Bali as well. And I'm sure a lot of people can say the same. So yeah, that concludes today's video of more travels. A lot more drama going off in that one. So if you enjoyed that video, we will do part 3, which will be my final 3 or 4 months of the year. And this spell covers Bali, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Philippines, and more Bali. So different areas in Bali. Oh, and then Australia. I get to Australia in December for Christmas. Plenty to share with you guys. For 2026, my travel plans currently are looking like in Australia at the moment until end of February. Then from here, I go to Fiji for 2 nights. And that is technically to break up my flight, but I thought, why not cross it off? Let's just go and see what Fiji's about. So yeah, Fiji for 2 nights, just to break up my flight, because I'm actually going over to LA, baby. So excited for LA. So yeah, LA will be coming up in early March, and then I go over to Miami. Then I'm going from Miami to Bahamas, because it's across the water, and then back to Miami to fly out. I have got a trip to Italy. It's for my gorgeous friend's wedding. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to see that. She also started off as a client, which is even more special, that we just built this natural friendship, and now I'm invited to her wedding. Oh, I can't wait. I'm just toying with where else to go, because the wedding is in Florence. How beautiful. And I also want to do another place while I'm in Italy, because it's the wrong side of the world for where I've been and staying kind of over. So I won't be coming this way for a while after, I imagine. So I'm going to try and tie in Verona. And I was looking at Bologna. I think that's how you say it. It's spelt Bologna. Someone tell me how you pronounce that. So they're the contenders for Verona, Bologna and Florence, because they're all on the speed train route. And then from Italy, I'm not sure where I'm going. I've got places on the list. I really want to go to Panama. I really want to go to Aruba. Costa Rica would be a good one. Colombia would also be a nice one. And Brazil, I would like to do as well. So all that realm would be amazing. New York needs to get back on my list as well. I've been twice, but I just love it so much. And I think that needs to be a Christmas visit, so that I feel like I'm in all the films. Because there is just no place like New York at Christmas, let's be honest. I've done it for New Year, but I've not done it for Christmas. So there we have what's coming up this year. So if you have enjoyed this video, or you have any questions from this video, or you want to know something that's coming up in the next video that I've given you the rundown on, drop it in the comments and I'll speak to you soon.